Back Romans World Premiere, Mr. Martin coming at you live and direct from the Kia Optima Studios again today. So definitely want to talk about Wakanda Forever. Got a chance to see the movie. Not going to spoil the movie for anybody, but definitely talk about some of the recent events tying into this movie. Um, if we do sports decodes, and funny thing that the Panthers, the Black Panthers from North Carolina, from Charlotte, would win that game against the Falcons. 115. They got a 115th win at home on Thursday nights, or 150th home win on Thursday nights. Approximately 115 weeks after the death of Chadwick Boseman, the star of Black Panther. So the story behind the movie is that the movie was already written and was set for production with Chadwick Boseman playing the Black Panther, and the script for how they wanted to do Namor was already created. So they say. I would say so they say. Prior to the death of Chadwick Boseman, pretty much they want to try to stick as close to they could as the comic book and make some changes here and there. But when Chadwick passed, so they say, they had to rewrite the script. I have a lack of belief for that. And I'm a chessboard studier. I like to study the chessboard. And over this course of this last 2 weeks, strange things have happened and things have been said, all brewing behind the Kanye West statement and the Kyrie Irving recent statements. Remember now, Kyrie just posted again about the coming of this new generation of people of color, a more learned generation that were going to be willing to take power and willing to change the power structure. And that's a fear. It's a fear that a lot of people that have power right now, that this new generation is about to come and change the power dynamic. And you get to see that in this film. And that's why I say I'm not convinced that this film was written the way that the writer, who's a part of this generation, stated. It was written this way from the jump. Like I said, we've talked about ritualistic deaths for a long period of time. And we know that some deaths have a meaning to the elite and to those in power, and people of color are a part of these rituals, which we have discussed on many occasions. So with Chadwick passing, made it a lot more convenient to say, oh, well, we had to rewrite the script. But when you see the movie, you see the idea of what happens if the power structure was in the hands of people with color. And the fear that the elite have that they will be on the outside looking in. The fear that they would once again be at the will, or this created idea of we're at the will of people who really don't give a damn about it like that. And you see that a lot. Growing up in my community and being a part of my community, it's more that people on the outside think we care about certain situations a lot more than we really do. Case in point, if you're not a person of color and you come party with us, we have no problem with it. We have no problem with it. Well, we'll look at you strange for the first 15 to 10 minutes, but after that, we all partying together. There's really no care that this person is here. You just party and have a good time like us, as long as, hey, we respectfully each other, cool. On the other side, going to one of their establishments and try to party, how they're so concerned about you when you're a person of color in these establishments, watching you like a hawk, more afraid of you than you are of them. This uncomfortable feeling about people of color. It's been going on for generations. Now, Put that into the idea of people of color having a material that could help them reshape the fabric of the world. And think about a large amount of people having control of this material, from the Americas to the African shores. It's a fear. It's a fear of what might be coming. And we talked about the coming change, the fear of the black planet, people of color. You see that in the Hispanic communities now, where they're looking for political power. Difference between them and us as far as the American community and the Africans in American community is, and I'm not talking about those from the motherland, I'm talking about American who are descendants of the natives here and descendants of those Africans that were brought here, is that our lack of being able to get together and create community. Remember now, Hispanics are different people, different cultures, and they still are able to be community. You'll see it broken up in different places depending on, what would be the dominant population. In the West Coast, Chicago, where I'm from, there's large, really, really big Mexican communities. There's really big Puerto Rican communities. In Florida, there are big Cuban communities. And then, everybody else pretty much mixes into those communities, these large Hispanic communities. DeSantis wins Florida because of the Hispanic population. DeSantis is not who you think he is. He is somewhere in his lineage part Cuban. So he wins based on the Hispanics down there in Florida, who pretty much always vote Republican and always support him. A large amount of Cubans back DeSantis. So that's that power structure. And that's the fear of DeSantis, that Hispanic vote will back him to get the presidency. And you might have a chance where the Hispanics have control of the White House, which has never been done in America. It's a fear. It's a fear. Remember how it was when Barack Obama got the White House? They were, Barack's going to do all this, and black people jumped on that bandwagon and should have known that Barack wasn't going to do anything. He doesn't have a power base behind it. And to make drastic changes, you need a community behind you. Hispanics have a community behind them. They can instill some change for Hispanics in this country. We can't do that because we are still struggling to rebuild our communities, and we can pretty much thank integration for that. But you see that in this film, kind of this fear of people with color having this type of power, the invisible enemy being a person of color, and them really not knowing who the invisible enemy was, but with the ability to wipe them out at any time, and just treat their technology like it's toys. Pointed out in this film, our inability sometimes as people of color, be it Hispanics, be it Africans, being Americans of African and Native descent, being able to work together, being our own destroyers at times, them using and pitting us against each other and finding ways to pit ourselves against each other. Still one of those things that was kind of laced throughout the movie. Can we work together, or will we destroy each other? It's a question and something we have to prove amongst ourselves. But you see this theme throughout the movie. So like I said, I find it hard to believe that this was just rewritten all of a sudden. Because going into this week, this is what we've been talking about, the change in the power structure. Politically, financially, socially, you're beginning to see that. And what happens when people start to realize how much power they actually have. So, not going to spoil the film. Um, my opinion is my opinion. I went into this movie really shaking my head, dealing with Disney Marvel, their agenda, politics that they continuously try to insert where it does not need it to be inserted. Some things should be left to innocence. We don't have to teach children sexuality. They're children. They're still at the mind state of imagination. One day, they'll be interested in sexuality. And when that day comes, that's when we begin to have these complex conversations. But to insert just to be inserting is a problem. I'm happy this movie, they held off. They finally, you'll see it, but they held off with that. They let it be a movie about what it should have been about: power structure and grief. How we as society deal with grief. How we as people of color deal with grief. So I think the writer did an excellent job with the topic of grief. Where I was able to go back and ask people, well, what part of the grief process was this person in? And they were able to kind of break it down for me. So he did a masterful job with the struggles with dealing with grief and dealing with loss. Did a masterful job with that. He struggled with Namor, and I knew this was going to be a problem. I like how he fixed up some parts and made it work, but he struggled with Namor. Namor is one of those characters that has been out with odds with the Black Panther for a long period of time. And it was a struggle kind of trying to make Namor the bad guy. Now, I thought he did it masterfully, but it's hard for me to believe that he just, it was hard. Some parts were hard to believe. The conflict, however, was beautifully done. And this is the thing about conflict people need to understand. When nations sit down and talk about going to war, they're not throwing things at each other. They're not cussing and fussing at each other. It doesn't work like that. War is always the last resort, and it's a game amongst intellectual people. Terms are always put on the table prior to the last resort of going to war. And I think he masterfully kind of put that in the film and kind of let you understand how people get to the point of, okay, we got to fight it out. It's just not, oh, well, do this, do that, or next scene we're fighting. No, you build up to that based on some things. You just don't jump to the conclusion. He struggled some with it, but he was able to kind of salvage it. So great performances all around. The gentleman that played Namor, I don't know his name, but great performance. I was kind of leery with some of the stuff I saw early on YouTube. They're gonna make him cheesy and campy, but he turned out to be one hell of a fine Hispanic actor. And I wish I knew the brother's name. He did a great job. And to Disney Marvel, and I say that people of color once again saved Disney Marvel because people of color did. The Hispanic community and the African American community and the African community got together and saved Disney Marvel again. Women, what you saw that brother do with the script, what you saw those actresses do with the script is how a strong woman should be portrayed. That's how it should look. A strong woman does not have to come across like a man to be strong. Strength is more than physical. Strength is intellectual. Strength is emotional. Strength is not just physical. Women of color, Hispanic women, African women, African American women have been holding together their family for generations through the toughest of times and situations. And they did that through showing emotional strength. They did that through showing intellectual strength, psychological strength at times when they were breaking. You saw one of the greatest black actresses in our lifetime in Angela Bassett show you what it should look like. She showed you what it should look like, what strength should look like, how strength should be shown and displayed. Not that foolishness you saw in She-Hulk with a girl sitting at a bar being a whore. That's not strength. That's being a whore. You saw real women in this movie acting like women, being an example for women, for young girls, not whores. And this is where Disney Marvel has allowed itself to go. If you're going to help children gain an understanding of how to be a thing, then show that thing properly. These women did an excellent job showing women what strength should look like, showing weakness what it should look like, making decisions, not saying, well, I should be the king. Just because you have a moniker of king does not make you strong. So you can't be a queen and be strong. I just saw a movie where the queen was strong. I just saw the movie where the queen walked in the room and checked everybody. Some of these black women need to watch this film and watch what an actress can do. And why you don't run to certain terms when you don't need to. Angela Bassett just showed you why the queen is the power on the chessboard. Why she can move a certain way. Why she can protect the kingdom. Stop letting terms dictate strength. Terms don't dictate strength. The person dictates strength. The character dictates strength. Leadership ability dictates strength. You saw the general get broken. You'll see a broken general in this. She's a woman. She's strong. But she was a woman. She had feelings. She hurt. Did that make her less of a woman? Because she wasn't acting like a man? We need women to raise strong women. A man can't raise a strong woman. A man can raise a strong man, and sometimes he can't do that by himself because he still need the woman there to do some of the back-breaking work. But we need women to continue to raise strong women. Shuri is the example of a young woman who's becoming a woman and understanding herself and learning some things, who was not comfortable with coaching. And she's the new generation, not understanding why certain things were done. But she's intellectual. She's intelligent. These are the things. These are the things that make her a phenomenal woman. She's not a whore in the bar getting drunk, talking about I'm a good lawyer. Check yourself, Disney. Once again, people of color got to show women what it means to be a woman, how it should look. White women, where you at? Why do you continue to let people do this? There's a lot of strong white women out there, a lot of good mothers. But stop letting them portray you in the light that you got to be a man to be somebody. Because that's brainwashing. They perfectly brainwash you think, but you got to be a man to be somebody. And then the sisters go follow behind them. Well, I got to be a man to be somebody. No, you should be a strong ass fucking woman and hold yourself together and hold your family up. Use the intellect you got. Use that physical strength that you do have. Because women do have physical strength. A woman will fuck you up just as quick as a dude would. I would not be matching wits with them girls from Wakanda. They've been trained to kill. They ain't got to be men to do that. You just got to be trained to kill. So, masterful piece of work. But watching the theme of the change of power from an African standpoint, this ain't no new shit to us. This ain't no new stuff to us. We had Queen Candace. We had Queen Nefertia. We've always had great queens in Africa that was running shop for long periods of time. So it ain't new to us to see strong black women. When you go into Hispanic culture, you'll find a list of strong Hispanic women. I heard a dude, the Mad Mexican, Mr. Mochismo, struggled with strong women on the screen. Didn't even watch the movie. I don't know what he was watching. I don't know what he was watching. A woman can be just as strong as a man. And it's not a physical thing. Intellectually, though, she might have my number. It's the reason why the queen is the strongest piece on the board. So, Black Panther movie, I'm gonna give it a B minus, close to a C plus, because of the Namor piece. Like I said, I'm a please stick to the comic. This still could have been accomplished. That's the thing that tells me that no, they rewrite. Well, no, it already had been done. It already had been done. This had already been written, and it's filling the themes of this fear of the black power structure and the power structure of people of color being brought to fruition and coming. And they don't know what to do. They're afraid. It's coming. It's coming. Mr. Mahdi, peace and injuries.